let's talk a little bit about tasting coffee. You've probably got a bag of coffee somewhere that has tasting notes on it, chocolatey or fruity or blueberry. Some of the tasting notes are legit. Some of them are pretty out there, but you might be wondering, yeah, when I brew my cup of coffee at home, I'm not really getting all of those tasting notes. How are they coming up with those flavor profiles for the coffee? And the truth is, a lot of times the flavor notes that are on a bag come out of a cupping session by a highly trained coffee professional who goes through a very strict protocol that we call cupping. You're probably not going to do that at home. But there are a couple of things you can do in tasting coffee that'll make it easier to note what those flavors are coming out of the coffee. Aside from, of course, brewing the coffee properly, which we talk about all the time, when you're actually physically tasting the coffee, what do you need to do to get some more of those flavor profiles out? Two things that you can do, or three things really. The first thing that you need to do is you need to let the coffee cool down. When you first brew a cup of coffee, it's fantastic, it's nice and hot, but when you taste that coffee, all you taste is hot, and your taste buds just say, I don't know what's in there. Plus, as a coffee cools, it should have some more of those tasting notes come out. How long should I let it sit before it cools? You should let it sit for somewhere between 5 and maybe even up to 10 minutes before you really get into tasting that coffee. If it's an open mug like this one is right here, probably 5 to 7 minutes ought to be good. My Yeti travel mug that I use, you'd need to let it sit for about 15 minutes before it's anywhere close to cooled down enough. It should be roughly the same temperature as your mouth if you really want to do that. So it should be down around 98 degrees, or maybe a little more than that, 110 degrees tops, before you taste your coffee. This one here has been sitting for a while. It's still just a tad on the warm side, but if you let it cool down for a little bit before you actually taste it, that will be a huge step. The second step is take little sips and kind of almost inhale the coffee more than drinking it. So when we're cupping, we actually slurp it in. There's a lot of slurping and spitting and going on, but you can do a similar thing with your coffee and just inhale it, slurp it in. Everything that your grandmother would be embarrassed about. And then hold it in your mouth for a little bit, swish it around, get some of those flavor notes in there before you actually swallow the coffee. That'll help you pay a little bit closer attention to what it's actually doing. Now, if you want to, when we're cupping, we use special spoons that are about this size. They're really deep. They're designed so that they'll help the coffee cool a little bit quicker. But you don't need a cupping spoon. You can literally use just about any teaspoon and take a little bit of coffee in there and slurp it in and do the same thing that you were doing when you were drinking it. So a couple ideas for tasting some coffee. Try it out this week and let us know in the comments below, or shoot us a DM and find out what flavor notes you might be getting out of your coffee that you maybe didn't taste before. So thanks for watching, and go make some better coffee.